Welcome back. So today, we're going to talk about our kids and their digital lives, but we're moving way beyond just counting screen time. We're going to dive into what's really going on and how we can actually empower them to handle it all.
So let's just jump right in with a question that might stop you in your tracks. Could a tech company, one that has never, ever met your child, actually know them better than you do? I know, it sounds crazy, right? But think about it. Every single click, every search, every like is building a data profile, one that might be way more accurate than we'd like to admit.
And look, this isn't just some far-off fear. Our kids feel it. A Common Sense report found that a staggering 72% of teens actually believe that tech companies are actively manipulating them to stay online longer. They can feel that pull, even if they can't quite put their finger on how it's all working.
So let's try to really get our heads around the sheer scale of this. How much time are we actually talking about here? And what is being built? What's being created during all those hours?
Well, the numbers, they're just mind-boggling. For tweens, we're looking at about 6 hours a day on entertainment media. Okay, wow. But for teens, that number jumps to 9 hours. 9 hours a day! Let that sink in for a second. That is more than a full-time job.
And all of that time is spent creating two very different versions of themselves online. On one hand, you've got the digital identity, that perfect, polished, highlight reel version of themselves that they feel all this pressure to post. But then there's the digital footprint, and that's the permanent, searchable record of everything they do, a record they really don't have full control over.
And that lack of control is absolutely key. Get this, 42% of teens have had stuff posted about them by other people that they can't delete or change. So their digital footprint isn't really their own. It becomes this shared space shaped by friends, strangers, you name it, with consequences that can last forever.
So who exactly is designing these digital spaces? It is so important to understand that these apps and platforms, they are not neutral playgrounds. No, they are built from the ground up with very specific psychological tricks in mind, all designed to keep you and your kids hooked.
First, let's talk about the rise of the AI confidant. This is a huge one. This is where kids are sharing their personal feelings, their secrets, not with a parent or a trusted friend, but with an AI bot. And here's the thing we have to remember. That algorithm is designed to learn from them, not to care for them. There's a huge difference.
Second, these platforms are built on something called the hedonic treadmill. It sounds complex, but you know this feeling. Think about getting a like, keeping a streak going, or the way the next video just automatically plays. They're all designed to give you this tiny little hit of pleasure that fades almost instantly. It creates this cycle where you need more and more and more just to get that same little boost.
Okay, I know, this can all feel a little overwhelming. It's a lot. But the good news is, research points to this really powerful internal skill we can help our kids build, almost like a mental shield. So let's talk about what that is. And that skill is called conscientiousness. What is it? Well, it's basically the part of our personality that's linked to being responsible, disciplined, and organized. But for the digital world, the most important piece here is impulse control.
And the research makes the connection crystal clear. A 2018 study found that low conscientiousness is a major risk factor for kids developing a digital game addiction, especially in boys. You can think of it like an internal brake pedal that helps them resist that just one more video or just one more level impulse.
But here's where it gets really interesting. There's a paradox. While being conscientious is great for impulse control, other studies show it can sometimes mean kids are less likely to question things they see online or less likely to get involved in civic action. Why? Well, conscientious people are really good at following the rules, which sometimes means they're not as quick to challenge the status quo.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that we can't just teach our kids to be responsible online. That is only half the battle. We also have to actively encourage their critical thinking skills so they can navigate this incredibly complex world safely, ethically, and with their own minds.
So with all that said, what's the single most effective tool that we have as parents? I'll give you a hint. It's not an app you can download. It's not a filter. And it is definitely not a setting on their phone. It's this, right here. The ultimate firewall, the ultimate parental control, is the strength and the trust in your relationship with your child. So much of the research shows that kids feel like their parents just don't get their digital lives, and that feeling, well, it shuts down the very conversations we need to be having.
The strategy sounds simple, but let's be real, it's not always easy to do. First, we have to actively earn their trust, to create a space where they know they can come to us with anything, without judgment. And second, we need to become their go-to person for help, the one they turn to first when they're confused or run into something weird online.
Because at the end of the day, the goal here isn't to win some kind of battle against technology. It's to strengthen our human connection. That's what will equip our kids for any world, whether it's online or off. Your presence, your relationship, it is more powerful than any app. So the only question left is, how are you going to invest in it?